Hello, Kieran, and welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to hearing about your rugby journey so far. I just wondered if you could start off by telling us a little bit about your early life. What sports did you play growing up, and who were your sporting idols?
Yeah, so growing up, I was a massive sports fan. Probably to my mum's displeasure, I tried every sport going. Um, and when I say every sport, I mean every sport. I had a lacrosse stick, I had golf clubs, I loved football, rugby, tennis. I literally had lessons at everything. She still gives me a lot of stick about it to this day. Um, my main sports were sort of football, rugby, and golf. Um, Always been a massive Liverpool fan, still am. So I guess sort of growing up, you had Steven Gerrard and probably Jamie Carragher, and then obviously whoever was the number 9 or number 7 at the time, Luis Suarez or Fernando Torres, Robbie Fowler. When I was sort of a young boy. Um, yeah, and then obviously as I've sort of got older, I've got into different sports now. I like the NFL and the NBA and the MLB as well. So yeah, complete sports nut. Consumes most of my life, to be honest.
Sounds just like myself, to be honest. And as we were discussing before we started recording, I'm also a big Liverpool fan. What are your thoughts on the current season coming up, and who's your current favourite Liverpool player?
A little bit worried about the new season, probably, to be honest. Um, yeah, obviously nobody can replace Jurgen. Nobody is going to be Jurgen. So that does worry me a little bit. I do like the football that we've played in pre-season under Arne Slot, so maybe that will transpire into something good. But obviously, we just need to give him time. And yeah, a bit disappointed we haven't signed anybody yet. But again, there's time for that. My favourite current player, um, it's hard to argue past Mo Salah, really, isn't it? Um, Everything he does and sort of the excitement he brings to us Liverpool fans. So yeah, I go with Mo Salah.
Absolutely, I think he's been playing pretty well in pre-season, and with 1 year left on his contract, hopefully he'll give us a great season if he's not going to stay at the club. So fingers crossed. um, so obviously you're mainly here to chat about wheelchair rugby, which is obviously a sport you're going to be competing for Great Britain at the Paralympics. Very soon. I just wondered if you could start off by telling us a bit about how your journey into wheelchair rugby began.
Yeah, so I broke my neck 11 years ago tomorrow, actually. August the 15th, 2013, playing rugby union in a tip tackle. Pretty self-explanatory. Lifted upside down, dropped on my head and broke C5 to C7 in my neck, and obviously damaged my spinal cord, which was sort of the crucial part. So I was in Oswestry spinal unit. So the way it works, the spinal unit started all around the country, and you sort of get put into your closest one. And there was an ex-Paralympian that always used to come in, Tony Stackhouse. So he was always, I guess, on the lookout for newly injured people to say, "Oh, come and try the sport." And he was sat by my bed for weeks, and I just wasn't interested at the time. I guess I just needed to sort of really process what had happened, um, and sort of try and rebuild my life in a large sense. So we just kept in touch. I left hospital. I went down to watch. I sat in a chair, and these guys were just flying around, and I was honestly, my eyes were so wide. I was like, "This is crazy." I loved it, but I was like, "There is no way, surely, that I can get to this level of fitness, independence, speed, power. Like, there is no way." So another couple of years sort of went by, and he was like, "Listen, you've been doing physio for a couple of years now. Like, you're getting used to being in a chair. You should come and try it out." So yeah, went back, tried it out, and that's in the August of 2017. And then in the November, we went to like my first proper tournament, and I got voted like the most valuable player at the tournament. And Alan Ash at the time was the GB talent squad coach. Alan's like a legendary figure within the game, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore, but he scouted me and said, "Listen, I don't know why you're not in the talent program, but you've got massive potential. We'd really like you to come down." So yeah, went down. they were really impressed and joined the squad in the January of 2018 into the talent squad, and then obviously progressed my way from there to the elite squad.
And how important has rugby been for you in terms of adjusting after your spinal cord injury? I know for me, being visually impaired, I went through sort of anxiety and depression about 5-6 years ago, and started playing visually impaired rugby and being around people who have had similar experiences in life, has given me, a lot of, has had a real positive impact in my life. Makes me realise that there are other people in a similar situation. So I just wondered for you, how has rugby helped you in that sense?
Yeah, when I was selected for the Paralympics, I did an interview with the BBC and the Telegraph, and they asked me the exact same question, and I sort of paused about it for a second, and it was probably then that I realised that I had been through depression. At the time, I didn't really notice, but I ballooned in weight. It got to like 21 stone. I'm 11 stone now, just under 11 stone now, and I didn't ever sort of really quantify what an impact rugby had on me until then, but it's changed my life like massively. As you've just sort of alluded to, being around people that have got similar disabilities, even different disabilities, you can learn from them, they can learn from you, and you pick up things not just in a sporting aspect, but in everyday life. Ways of doing things, and even like obviously because most of our hands are affected, so it's even little things like dressing, preparing food. There's always like different ways of people doing things and getting in and out of the car with your chair, and you're sort of learning all these different skills from people that are in the same situation. So even if you didn't want to take it up to be or try and be a Paralympian, there is still so much merit in actually getting involved, being part of a team again, and sort of having that belonging within a community, which obviously is something that I really enjoy. And I'm so glad I give it a second shot, really.
And my day job is as a physiotherapist, and you mentioned obviously about having physiotherapy following your spinal cord injury as well. I just wondered if you could tell us a bit about what the physiotherapy involved following your injury, and how long it took you to kind of get to the point where you could be competitive in sport again.
Yeah, so obviously when you're in hospital, you have a meeting with your consultant, and ultimately I was told, listen, you're never going to walk again. Neurologically, that is going to be impossible. But there is so many gains to be had in terms of arm movement, potentially hand movement, and even like little things like balance. So I got in touch with a physio, privately funded by the RFU Injured Players Foundation, and I left hospital with no strength, so I couldn't even sit up straight. I was that weak. So my spasms were all over the place. Again, due to a number of things, obviously not having adapted to my spinal injury, and everything that sort of did at the physio sort of helped me be able to sit up, helped me be in control of my spasms, helped me regain bits of movement back in my hands, in my arms, little bits in my chest, and just sort of enabled me really to have a better quality of life than I probably would have done had I not done the physio. It also taught me a lot about my injury. As I say, like the spasms were through the roof, and I sort of needed a way of controlling them because I was very keen on not having to take medication to do that. So yeah, just keeping me supple and stopping me stiffening up, I guess. But yeah, it was a really important time in my life to obviously get used to the new life and new hand that I've been dealt.
And what does a typical training week consist of for you these days?
So we're flat out. We are full-time athletes. So a typical week is probably 3 club training sessions because we're a decentralized program. So we get together as an international squad twice a month for a week at a time. So when we're away from a training camp, it's 3 club sessions a week, which other GB players will be at the same session as you. 3 strength sessions in the gym a week, and then on top of that, you've got hand bike workouts, ski workouts, a stretching program, and then not only that, but we have a lot of like video analysis to do. So we're constantly analysing ourselves, our opponents, looking for any sort of marginal gain we can really. Yeah, so it is full on, it is intense, and yeah, hopefully that'll all pay off.
How do you find the ski machines? I've started doing a few high rocks classes this year, and yeah, those ski machines are hard work.
Absolutely brutal. I mean, I try and avoid it. I try and get on the handbike if I can. But our S&Cs, Jack and Tom, the conditioning workouts they program are seriously brutal, and that skiing machine just does not help. Yeah, it's like a full body burner. Yeah, if you haven't been on one, you need to get on one and experience the pain.
And how are preparations going ahead of Paris?
Yeah, really well. So last week we finished our last full camp before Paris as a team. It's been a tough 3 years probably. Obviously, the team won gold in Tokyo in 2021. Obviously, delayed a year by COVID, and the program sort of underwent quite a few personnel changes in the first 12 to 18 months. We lost Jim Roberts, who was probably the best player in the world at the time, and the captain Chris Ryan also retired, and then we had Ayaz Bouta retire, another senior member of the squad. So yeah, results haven't been where we want them to be. This year it has significantly improved, I would say. I'd say we're now in a good place. Our last tournament at Canada Cup, which was sort of the last major competition before Paralympics, we finished third. Yeah, we are better than third. We know we're better than third, but that was the first sort of real result we'd had where we're like, actually, we're in this fight. So we're going into Paris as underdogs. I think that's a fair reflection of sort of where we've been at, but there's a very realistic chance that if we play to our potential, we can come away with that gold, and that's what we've worked hard for, and that's what we're going to go out there and try and do.
As you mentioned, the team won gold in Tokyo. There are obviously quite a few debutants, including yourself, in this squad. Do you think the team having won gold at the last games adds pressure, or because the team's changed, do you think it doesn't really have any significance?
We always say sort of a mantra that we have in the squad is pressure. Pressure is just a word. Like, you can control pressure, or pressure can control you. And I think as a squad, we're pretty good at controlling that pressure, turning it around into being a positive. So yeah, ultimately there is pressure, but it's something that we're all sort of thriving off. I know I definitely am. I love playing those pressure moments, and yeah, excited to get out there and show the world what we're about now.
And which nations do you think will be your toughest opposition at the games?
Any one of 7 teams realistically could win it. Obviously, it's an 8-team tournament. Australia are probably the favourites. Yeah, they've got a super strong team, obviously led by Riley and Chris Bond, who are 2 of the best, if not the best, high pointers in the world. Yeah, their lineup's stacked from 1 to 12, so they're going to be really strong. Japan seem to go through every tournament near enough unbeaten in the last sort of 6 months, so they're also going to be tough. You can't write out the US, Canada, Denmark, France, ourselves. Honestly, it's just so tight. Yeah, ultimately it's a game of attrition, and whoever puts sort of 5 games together, potentially 4, if you get away with it, then yeah, they're going to come out victorious. So as a neutral, it's going to be fantastic Paralympics.
And who's the best player you've played with and the best player you've played against?
The best I've played against is Riley. The stuff he can do, there's nobody else can do. Yeah, credit where it's due. He's a fantastic player and has been for a number of years. The best player I've played with, so many. I'm gonna go with Johnny Coggan. This will be Johnny's 6th Paralympics. in wheelchair rugby for GB, and yeah, the guy's an absolute machine. He's always in the right area at the right time, and he's so quiet. You can never hear a word he's saying, but you just know when you turn around that Johnny's going to be there in the right spot. So yeah, it's remarkable what he does and continues to do. So yeah, I'll go with John.
And what would you say are your strengths and weaknesses as a player?
Probably don't want to give my weaknesses away now, do I? I'd say I'm very game aware. It's probably one of my strengths. Obviously, I'm a 2-point player, so the way the classification system works, if you watch the game, I'm not going to be the one flying around putting all the big hits in and scoring all the tries, but I sort of have a mixed role of ball handling, blocking, yeah, like an all-round game. So some people say it's sort of a jack of all trades, master of none, being a 2-pointer, but yeah, being game aware and just sort of knowing your role, knowing how to support each individual around the court, and ultimately just trying to help the team progress to get the job done. Yeah.
And who would you say has been the biggest influence on your wheelchair rugby career to date?
So Alan Ash, who initially scouted me. So I worked with Alan from 2017 until 2020. So he was the one that he was a 2-pointer and a GB legend. He'd been to maybe 4 Paralympics, might have been 5. I should know that. He sort of really instilled the game into me and mentored me into being sort of really game aware. And then I signed for Leicester Tigers, and luckily for me, the 2-pointer there was Gavin Walker, who is our current captain. So Gavin took me under his wing. So I had 2 really good mentors in Gavin and Alan, to sort of guide me along the way and to bounce things off. And sometimes, like, the stuff you learn just has to be learned through experience. So I guess Paul Shaw, our current coach, like, the belief he's had in me since he brought me into the squad, like, I've been selected for every single tournament and played decent minutes. And I don't really think there's many people that are 3 years into their elite career that are having the exposure that I'm having at the minute, which is obviously a testament to how hard I've worked, but also a testament to his belief in me and how well that Paul, our coach, has done with me and put time and effort he's put into me. So yeah, those 3 are the primary 3.
And what would you say has been the highlight of your rugby career so far?
I guess probably my debut. It's probably hard to look past that the first time you get your GB vest. And I remember starting the game against Poland at the European Championships in France, and yeah, that was a very special moment. I had my mum and my grandma there. So yeah, that was a really special moment. But obviously now, I'm pretty sure that's going to be surpassed in a little over 2 weeks' time. Yeah, this is going to be the biggest moment of my career in Paris at the Paralympics, and yeah, just honestly can't wait. I feel like a kid in a sweet shop. It's the excitement is real. So.
And what do you think you'll do to switch off, and to relax in between, matches during the games?
Just be around the lads, to be honest. Yeah, we've got a great team environment, and there's some really close friends of mine in the squad. So there's a few of us that are really into our coffees. So we've got all the specialty coffees to ship out to Paris with us, and yeah, no doubt we'll have a coffee and a biscuit and a few different games like Uno and yeah, a couple of other ones. So yeah, just be around the lads, be around the staff, just create memories as a team. Really, that's sort of what we're about, and being unified and together. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of team bonding moments that we can treasure for life.
And how do you deal with the mental pressures of competing in an elite sport?
Like I said before, pressure, honestly, is just about how you can control it rather than it controlling you. And there is times where it is like a pressure cooker and the atmosphere is loud and things aren't going your way in a game. But ultimately, it's just a game. And if you can sort of really think about that and think, well, I might mess up on this defensive phase of play, but I'm going to get another one in 40 seconds, maximum 40 seconds. I'm going to have this same chance again. So just to always to remember that, like, in our game, anything can happen, and the next possession is a maximum of 40 seconds away. So you need to be on it, like, immediately, completely reset, get back on it. Yeah, and just enjoy it. I mean, you probably won't see me playing with a smile. I'm not that type of person, but that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it. I'm absolutely loving it inside, and yeah, there's nothing better than a nice victory. So.
And I mean, for me, wheelchair rugby is one of the sports I enjoy. You know, watching most of the Paralympics. What reasons would you give to others to come along and watch at the games?
Well, it's the only full contact Paralympic sport, and if that's not a big enough reason by itself, then I don't know what is. But if you add into that the tactical, technical battle that you're going to see, you're going to see guys flying out the chairs. You're going to see a mixture of men and women in the sport as well. Australia have got 3 women in their squad for the first time ever. I think there's been that many females on the squad, so that's fantastic to see. Yeah, it's just going to be such a tight battle. I don't think there's going to be any blowout games. So yeah, you might even see overtime games and games won by 1 or 2 points. And as a sports fan that I am, and I know you are, like, there's nothing better than a last-second goal or a 1-0 win. Or in this case, it might be a 55-54 win or something. But yeah, it's going to be so exciting. And obviously, if you've never seen wheelchair rugby before, please tune into Channel 4 or YouTube during the Paralympic Games and get amongst it, because we really appreciate the sport, and you're not going to be disappointed by it.
And when you finish competing in Paris, are you hoping you might have a chance to go and watch any of the other sports at all?
Yeah, so there's a few of us staying on. I think there's about 6 or 7 of us staying on. So we plan to go and watch some of the other sports, support some of the other athletes, particularly, obviously, our ParalympicsGB teammates. We'd like to go and watch the basketball and the swimming. And I think a lot of the players sort of speak to other athletes from different disciplines. So I speak to a couple of people from different sports. So I personally want to go and watch them. And we're going to try and get to as many sports as we can, and, you know, show the support for the men and women that have worked so hard to be there, and hopefully give them the support that they deserve and watch them win medals. So that'll be an exciting part of the Paris 2024.
I spoke to Aaron McKibben earlier today, who's competes in table tennis for GB, and he was also talking about a love of coffee. So I'm hoping that the Athletes Village has a Starbucks or something. I'm sure they're doing raw in trade by the sounds of things. Apparently,
it's Costa. Costa is a sort of proud sponsor, apparently, of the Paralympics. So there's a running joke amongst our team at the minute. You can get your picture printed on the top of your coffee. So we were sort of all taking the mix, saying, "Oh, we're going to get each other's faces or whatever printed on the top of the coffees, and have a bit of fun that way." But I'm sure you'll see that on Instagram if you follow me.
Brilliant. Well, Kieran, thank you very much for speaking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to watching you guys competing in Paris, and best of luck. Obviously, fingers crossed for you guys winning gold. And it'd be great to catch up again, at some point after the games to sort of obviously talk about your experiences out in Paris. And best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem.